can you tell me what your first reaction was to the death of Pope Francis?
I'd say my first reaction was one of surprise, especially seeing him yesterday at giving the Easter blessing from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, doing the Urbi et Orbi message to the world, and also seeing Vice President Vance visiting at the Vatican yesterday and exchanging gifts, and to find the message this morning that he had died was quite a surprise. My reaction yesterday was that he seemed to be doing very well for someone who'd spent so much time in the hospital and was on the brink of death, and he seemed to be doing very, very well. So I was very surprised when I got the message very early this morning that he had died.
I thought it was amazing that he was able to make it out for Easter, in general, personally.
I was surprised too. Even taking a ride in the Pope Mobile around the St. Peter's Square, greeting pilgrims was it was part of his whole thing. It was a passion for people and a desire to reach out to people wherever they are, and it was great to see. Even to the last, he was still doing that. He was certainly a pope of the people, and made every effort to go forth and to get out and greet people and see as many people as he could.
I mean, you've already touched on it, but can you kind of go into the point of him being a pope for the people, pope of the people? It's kind of a different approach than a lot of other popes maybe have done in the past.
Correct. So, the comparison I like, and it's not original to me. A comparison that I do like is that Pope John Paul II taught us what we believe as Catholics. Pope Benedict taught us why we believe as Catholics, and I think Francis, the gift that he brings is how do we live the Catholic faith and how do we live the Christian faith in the world. So I think he was very big into being a model for us of what Christian life is all about, and how it is to be lived on a daily basis. And I think that's what he will be most remembered for, was how to live a very authentic Christian life. So.
What was his kind of impact here in the Quad Cities? Did he have a specific impact on this community and as a whole?
I would say he's had a global impact, and as much as we in the Quad City participate in the global community, I think the impact is what he has said in terms of reaching out to people regardless of backgrounds, of including people everywhere, those on the margins of society. It certainly is a witness call to each one of us to reach out to those who sort of live on the margins of society. In many ways, it's a very challenging message, especially today when there's so much going on in terms of exclusion of people, and the message that the Holy Father constantly stressed, that we're all part of the global family, we're all part of the human family, we are all brothers and sisters to one another, and we have obligations to each other. I think that is the impact that his pontificate will have for many, many years, is that message of reaching out to those, especially on the margins of society.
Did you ever get the chance personally to speak with the Pope?
I did. So before I became Bishop of Davenport, all bishops go to an annual course, a new bishops course for new bishops. And part of that course is a private meeting with the Pope. So there were about 150 of us in the room. And then after that meeting, and it was very informal, he took time to answer all the questions that all these new bishops had. He met with us about an hour and a half, very informally. And after that, then we all had a one-on-one meeting with the Pope. Since he had gone so long, it was only about 10 seconds, but so I did meet with the Holy Father. I was not yet ordained a bishop yet. I think I met him on Thursday, and I was going to be ordained a bishop the following Friday. So what I just said to him was to ask him to pray for me as I prepare to be ordained a bishop. But he was very gracious and just a gentleman, and so I'm very grateful for that opportunity. And I owe a lot to my current position as the Bishop of Davenport to his appointment. It was he had a very definite model of what he would like a bishop to be, and for whatever reason, he saw that in me, and he appointed me as Bishop of Davenport. So I will always be grateful for that appointment.
Um, when he made that appointment of you being the Bishop of Davenport, what does that whole process kind of look like?
Well, so it's a long process, and the Diocese of Davenport was vacant for about 10 or 11 months. So it is a long process of choosing a successor, and there's a whole process that they look for what are the needs of the Diocese of Davenport, what is Davenport looking for, and who are the candidates that would best meet those needs of the people of the Diocese of Davenport. Um, there's a whole vetting process of priests that goes on. There's sort of an investigation of everybody, a pretty extensive questionnaire that goes out to many people asking for feedback on candidates. Eventually, it goes to a committee in Rome. So three names go to a committee in Rome, and they can reject all those names or they can move those names to the Holy Father. Those three names are given to the Holy Father, and he will pick one of those three. So at one point, he looked at the three candidates, and for whatever reason, he said, we'll go with Walsh." So,
So through your interaction with him, what did you kind of take away about him as a person?
he's a very, I think just the way his general demeanor is, he's a very gentle guy. Not that great with English, so it was always difficult for, I think, for English people, speaking people to get a sense of who he is. But I'm told that in his native language, and he's a very genuine and caring man. But you can tell that just from his general demeanor and the way he carries himself in his ministry.
For sure. So Pope Francis was known as had an emphasis on mercy and being with for the people. So how do you think his teachings will continue to shape the church's direction, even in his absence?
Every pope pretty much leaves a legacy by his writings, so his encyclical letters and the letters that he writes to the church. I think his impact in two ways. His impact on the climate in terms of climate change. His document on Laudato Si. It's what is our church response to the global emergency, the climate emergency that is going on today. So, in many ways, uh, previous popes have not taken the stance that the Holy Father has taken. Not only has he sort of shifted our thinking in terms of our response as Christians to the climate issue, but even at the Vatican, he's implemented it in terms of putting in solar arrays in fields to make the Vatican itself to be carbon neutral, carbon zero. So not only did he teach it, but he also put it into practice on his scale at the Vatican as well. And I think the second thing is his whole recently his whole mission in synodality in changing how the church has conversations within itself in terms of sort of walking together in sort of a common direction of how we evangelize the world rather than a sort of a top-down approach. Francis is looking at a way in which we can hear the voices of those throughout the whole church, even those on the margins of the church, and how their voices can be added to the conversation in terms of determining what is the direction the church needs to face. So I would say climate change and synodality and also his work in terms of migration. Migration has been a huge part of the message that he has had, and also just visiting, especially in Italy, going to the places where they were coming into Italy and being with the migrants themselves, and his constant questioning of and a challenge to the world of being open to migrants and immigrant populations.
So, as you said, he had a very strong voice in all of this stuff. So, how do you hope that his priorities will be carried forward in a new pope?
It's hard to say how a next pope is going to carry forward what his predecessors have taught. However, the documents that Francis leaves behind are they will still be there. They're still part of the official teaching of the church. So a new pope can add to them, and he can modify them. So, but there's there is no changing the path in which the Pope really has put the church on. I mean, these elements that he has introduced into the church, so we'll have some remnant going forward. It might be in a different form, and it might be modified to some degree by his successors, but it will still be part of the magisterium of the church.
So he appointed a number of cardinals during his time as Pope Francis. So how do you think that uh this influence might influence the outcome of the next papal election?
I It's hard to say. I think people have this misconception that the church operates in the same way our politics does, and that people are aligned ideologically. And I've never found that to be true. I really believe that the Holy Spirit raises up in the church the leadership that it needs at the time. I don't think ideology plays much of a part in how that is determined. I, it's not it's really not appropriate I think to cast popes in some ideological positions. If you looked at papacy in terms of ideology, you see Benedict, who was a fairly conservative pope, and he and also his predecessor John Paul II, again another very conservative pope, who picked cardinal electors. You would think that their successors would be fairly conservative as well, but Francis has certainly broken that mold in terms of the positions that he has carried forward. So I don't think it has much to do with the ideology of the cardinal electors as much as a genuine desire to determine what is best for the church moving forward. There will be a process where the cardinal electors will begin to have a conversation about what the church needs in going forward, and they will pick someone appropriate, uh, regardless of ideology of those candidates. So,
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that kind of mindset and everything because that's just something that I personally don't necessarily always think about. So I appreciate that
thank
ideology.
you.
So what do you believe maybe is like the most courageous or transformative decision that Pope Francis made throughout his papacy?
I would say I would say a key point for his papacy has been migration, and especially in the situation here in the United States, um, there are not a lot of people who might be happy with the position that the church has taken under Francis in migration. So, in many ways, Francis has reminded us of our obligations in charity toward all people, regardless of their legal status, and that we do have obligations in charity to care for those who are on our doorstep, and that's a good reminder for Catholic Christians, especially to live the life of charity very concretely, regardless of uh, just people of our own kind, and to be able to reach out to everybody on the margins of society, whether they are like us or not like us. But we do have obligations in Christian charity to care for them and to reach out to them.
For sure. So then just localizing here just in this last few minutes, what kind of effect do you think that his death will have on the Quad City community or who follow the Pope?
I think for Catholics, the person of the Pope is a pretty important figure. So I think there'll be the immediate impact is one of mourning. Whether people agreed with him or not, Catholics have a genuine love for the office of the papacy, and the successor of Saint Peter. So there's a genuine love, and has he challenged a lot of people? He certainly has, but I think underlying that is a genuine respect for the man and for the teacher and for the office that he holds. So I think the impact is going to be one of mourning, and the church will go through a whole process of mourning the passing of the Pope and praying for his successor, and the church will go on.
So people in Davenport or people of the Diocese of Davenport, what is your message to them as this kind of a surprise is here?
I think the real surprise was that he was doing so well after his extended illness. So in many ways, I think uh, people have been prepared just because of his extended illness that this was probably going to be in the very near future. So even though he was doing so well yesterday, to see that his passing this morning is quite a shock. But in many ways, I think we had known that we were at the end of this papacy or coming toward the end of the papacy, and so it's not that much of a surprise in terms of realizing that the end was coming fairly soon. So.
Yeah, and so I guess one of my last questions would be, is there any direct impact that he did have on like Davenport or the Quad Cities or even you as a person?
Well, I'd say for me as a person, and also in terms of my leadership, in terms of the Diocese of Davenport, the impact is in terms of how I implement the messages that or the teachings that he gave. So um, I would say at the diocese itself, the whole climate agenda, the climate change issue, we've certainly taken to heart. I mean, we have a climate plan for our chancery, and we put stuff out for our own diocese to follow. Certainly, we have a migration office in terms of helping immigrants. So those priorities that the Holy Father has set out, we have certainly embraced them in Davenport, and they play a fundamental part of how we do pastoral care and ministry in the local church. So,
Yeah, and so finally, what role do you think that the church should play, not just for Catholics, but in the broader community as this is happening?
well, I think that the Pope is an authentic teacher of the Christian faith, whether they're Catholic or not. I think there are many non-Catholics who have expressed to me their heartfelt appreciation for things that Pope Francis has said, or any pope really. I know many Protestant ministers who read the pastoral documents of the popes, and especially Pope Francis, and they have told me how much it impacts them. So I don't think the position that the Pope has is just for Catholics. I think the message that he has is a universal message for all people, even those who are not Christian. I think it's a universal message of hope that he offers to the world.
Is there anything else that you think I may have missed or you're wanting to share about this happening?
No, thank you for the opportunity. I'm very grateful that for your coverage and your desire to promote this whole situation, this situation of sorrow in the church. So I thank you for that.